6:15, and this is the Sri Lankan Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by J. Yogaraj. First, the headlines. The Agriculture Minister says there will be at least 300,000 metric tons of surplus of rice after the next Yala season. Wheat flour has been listed under the category of specified goods by way of an extraordinary gazette notification. 330 Navy recruits pass out in Busa. Sri Lanka marked International Day of Yoga with the support of High Commission of India. The annual Asal Perera of historic Ruhunu Kataragama Devale begins tomorrow. UN says more than 20 million people are facing severe levels of food insecurity, countries in the Horn of Africa. The Southern Masters Athletic Association organizes the first ever International Master Athletics Championship 2023. And those are the headlines. Agriculture Minister Mahinda Amaravira says that there will be at least 300,000 metric tons surplus of rice after the next Yala season. Based on a study conducted by the ministry, he added that the ministry predict to fetch better harvest from the season. Minister made these remarks at a function held at Sithinmalua village. The village, which was intended to be marketed as a commercial centre, began today. According to Minister, the country needs 24 metric tons of rice annually. He said that the harvest of the next year would yield 27 metric tons of rice, and there will be a surplus of 3 metric tons of rice. The minister also plans to reduce the price of MOP fertilizer to 15,000 rupees, a reduction of 4,500 rupees, which was given at 19,500 rupees during the last season. He also said that the ministry is working to sell a price of bundle of urea fertilizer for less than 5,000 rupees from next Maha season. The Minister of Trade, Nalin Fernando, says the wheat flour has been listed under the category of specified goods by way of an extraordinary gazette notification. Accordingly, wheat flour was brought under the category of specified goods with effect from midnight on 16 June, as it is an essential commodity to the people. The minister said the decision was taken to control price hike of the wheat flour. Meanwhile, the All Island Canteen Owners Association claimed today that even though eggs are provided for bakery products, there has been no price reductions on any bakery item. The chief of the association, Asela Sampath, told the media that the government imported eggs from India and provided them to bakeries and restaurants at ₹35 each. This news comes to you from Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. 330 recruits of 251st intake of Sri Lanka Navy regular and volunteer forces pass out at the main parade ground of SLNS Nipuna yesterday. The recruits consisted of 278 from regular forces and another 52 from the volunteer force. The ceremony was graced by the Director General Budget and Finance Division of Sri Lanka Navy, Rear Admiral Vijitha Marapana, as the chief guest at the invitation of the Commandant and Commanding Officer of SLNS Nipuna, Captain Shamind Gunaratne. Accordingly, recruit PHWMRRV Pananwala won the award of the best recruit of the 251st intake and highest aggregate in all subjects. Meanwhile, recruit AMKDK Attanayak won the award of the best marksman. The award for the best sportsman was won by recruit JWGMP Kumar, and Suranimala division was selected as the best division of the 251st intake. Sri Lanka has marked the International Day of Yoga with the support of High Commission of India, with participation of yoga enthusiasts, clergy, diplomats, and government officials. The event, which was organized by the Swami Vivekananda Cultural Centre of the Indian High Commission with the Ministry of Health, also saw traditional doctors participating. The Indian High Commission said the United Nations General Assembly adopted a resolution piloted by India in 2014 proclaiming June 21st as the International Day of Yoga, with Sri Lanka as a co-sponsor at the Independence Square in Colombo. The event saw participation of several ministers, including Susil Prem Chayantha, Minister of Education, Bandula Gunawardena, Minister of Transport and Highways and Mass Media, Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri, and State Minister of Indigenous Medicine Sri Sisira Jayakudi, and State Minister for Education Arvind Kumar, State Minister for Higher Education Surendra Raghavan, High Commissioner of India His Excellency Gopal Bagle, officers of staff of the High Commission, students, police personnel, members of the Indian community and yoga enthusiasts in Sri Lanka also participated. The annual SLBC of historic Ruhunu Katargama Devalaya begins tomorrow. The traditional Kap Situima or planting ceremony for the year's SLBC took place at the auspicious time on May 6th. Basnaik Nilami of the Ruhunu Katargama Devalaya, Dishan Vikramaratna Gunasekara, said the Parahara of Ruhunu Katargama Devalaya will take place on June 19th. Meanwhile, the Katargama National School, Sella Katargama Mahavidyalaya and Detagamu Junior School will be closed from June 19th to July 3rd as they will serve as accommodation for police officers who will be deployed to provide security for the Pereira. The Academic Board of Jaffna University has decided to reinstate the studentship of 28 from suspended undergraduates. The other students are still suspended and decision will be taken later. The 31 students of Faculty of Management Studies and Commerce have been suspended following a brawl between the second year and third year students on Friday. Following preliminary investigation, 16 second year students and 15 third year students have been banned from entering the university premises until further notice. And that's local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A special gazette notification has been issued declaring several services as essential public services. According to the notification of all services connected to the supply of electricity, the supply or distribution of petroleum products and fuel, all services, work or labor or any description whatsoever necessary or required to be done in connection with the maintenance and reception, care, feeding and treatment of patients in hospitals, nursing homes, dispensaries and other similar institutions have been declared as essential services. The Gazette notification and the declarations therein came into effect from yesterday. And that was top news.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchline, Chairperson of the Dengue Control Expert Committee, State Minister Sita Arambepola, stresses on the urgent need to spread the message on the safeguarding fever patients from mosquitoes. The minister highlighted that the dengue, a disease transmitted through mosquitoes, can be passed from one infected person to another. State Minister Arambepola emphasized the need to raise awareness among the public regarding the protection of the both dengue-infected patients and individuals with fever until a confirmed diagnosis is obtained. And that was Watchlight. And moving on to world news. UN says more than 20 million people are facing severe levels of food insecurity countries in the Horn of Africa. Severe heat kills around 54 people in Uttar Pradesh, India. UN urges to take urgent and decisive action to prevent further deaths in Mediterranean Sea. And those are the headlines of the world news. Countries in the Horn of Africa are experiencing the worst drought in at least 70 years' time. The countries are now facing 6 consecutive failed rainy season as crops fail and livestock dies out. Families are being forced to go without food. UN more than 20 million people are now facing severe levels of food insecurity in the region. Several East African nations were introduced as hunger hotspots in a recent UN report saying that the food crisis is particularly severe in these countries and likely to deteriorate. At least 34 people were killed or died in recent days as a large swath of the North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh swelters under severe heat. Doctors advise residents over 60 to stay indoors during the daytime. The dead were all aged over 60 and had pre-existing health conditions. And that may have been exacerbated by the intense heat. The fatalities occurred in Balia district, some 300 kilometers southeast of Lucknow, the state capital. The 23 deaths were reported on Thursday. Another 11 died on Friday, it stated. United Nations agencies have called for urgent and decisive actions to be taken to prevent further deaths in the Mediterranean Sea area. The action was taken following the presumed drowning of hundreds of people this week off the coast of Greece. The International Organization for Migration and the UN Refugee Agency, between 400 and 750 people have believed to have been board on the boat that capsized on Wednesday in the Ionian Sea, some 47 nautical miles of Pylos. It was one of the worst tragedies of its kind in the Mediterranean Sea region. Hundreds remain missing and feared dead, as just 104 people have been rescued to date and 78 bodies retrieved. And that's world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housemaids in Kuwait, Oman and Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 58 years. Contact number 037 7500 500.
The government hopes to start work on a renewable power plant with a capacity of 500 megawatts in the northern province. It will be launched jointly with India at the beginning of August. An agreement was reached to start construction work by August. It was disclosed at a discussion held with the President's Chief of Staff, Sagala Ratnayaka, and the heads of the energy division of the Indian Adani Group. The Adani Group has informed Sagala Ratnayaka that those power plants will be constructed to harness wind and solar energy with a capacity of 500 megawatts. And that was development news.
Vacancies for women from Deshakti Lanka for housekeepers, home cooks, caretakers and home nurses in Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia and Singapore for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews with foreign agents are now on. Come whether you have a passport or not. Branches, Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 500 500.
In sports news, Sri Lanka Southern Masters Athletic Association has organized the first ever International Masters Athletic Championships 2023. The championship is to be held at the Mahinda Rajapaksa Stadium, Diagama, from August 19 to 21st. The age groups of the are open age, below 35 years, and above all age categories. The Athletics Association said the events will include the running events, hurdles, long jump, high jump, triple jump, shot put shot, discus throw, javelin, hammer, race walking, and 2,000 meters or 3,000 meters steep chase. The organizers also plan to provide 3 air tickets to 3 athletes to take part in the International Masters Athletic Championship 2023, scheduled to be held in West Bengal, India. Entries will close on July 12th, and officials have requested athletes to call 072-042-0546 for clarification. I repeat, 072-042-0546 for clarifications. And that was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Colombo Stock Exchange said Sri Lanka Telecom, Hatton National Bank and Hemas Holdings have been added to the S&P SL20 index. Meanwhile, Browns and Company, TJ Lanka and Waterwala Plantation had been dropped. The S&P SL20 index includes the 20 largest companies by total market capitalization listed on the CSE and that meet minimum size, liquidity and financial viability thresholds. The Colombo Stock Exchange added, to be eligible for inclusion, a stock must have a minimum float adjusted market capitalization of 500 million rupees, Sri Lankan rupees, a 6-month public median daily value traded of 0.25 million rupees, and have positive net income over 12 months prior to the rebalancing reference date. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go එකක් තියන youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, the USAID and Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority (SLTDA) recently launched a new strategy to reboot the tourism sector in the island. In a statement of SLTDA, said that the launch of the strategy is a strong step towards in USAID's Indo-Pacific Opportunity Project. SLTDA added that the program would further support the industry to bring tourism businesses into the formal sector. And that was economic news. Weather report. The Met Department says the cloudy skies will prevail over northern, north central and eastern provinces. Several spells of showers will occur in western, Sabarakamu central and northwestern provinces, and in Gaul, Mathura and Trincomalee districts. And showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in Uva province and in Ampara and Batticaloa districts during the evening or night. And with that, that was the weather report. And to wind up this news broadcast, let's look at the main points once again. Agriculture Minister says there will be at least 300,000 metric tons surplus of rice from after next Yala season. Wheat flour has been listed under the category of specified goods by way of an extraordinary gazette notification. 330 Navy recruits pass out in Busa. Sri Lanka marked International Day of Yoga with the support of I Commission of India. The annual Asala Parahara of historic Ruhunu Kataragama Devalaya begins tomorrow. UN says more than 20 million people are facing severe levels of food insecurity countries in Horn of Africa. The Southern Masters Athletic Association organizes the first ever International Masters Athletic Championship 2023. And with that we conclude this evening news broadcast of Sri Lankan Broadcasting Corporation.